You've probably apologized to someone this week for something that wasn't your fault. That's someone else's hand quietly inside your head pulling strings you didn't even know were there. And today, we're cutting every single one of them. Here's what makes dark psychology so hard to fight: it doesn't feel like an attack. It feels like love. It feels like concern. Sometimes it even feels like your own thoughts. There are 7 specific tactics being used on people every single day in their relationships, their friendships, their own families. And as I go through each one, you're going to recognize someone. Let that feeling stay with you. The last one? The one therapists have a clinical name for? That one might reframe things you've been carrying for years. 7 tactics. And exactly how to shut each one down. Let's go. The 7 tactics. Tactic 1: manipulation. Manipulation is the root of everything else on this list. A manipulator never asks directly because asking directly gives you the freedom to say no. So instead, they build the conditions for the answer they want before they ever ask the question. You've seen it. Someone brings up a favor they did for you out of nowhere, and then 30 seconds later, they need something from you. That's not a coincidence. That's architecture. How to protect yourself before you respond to any request that makes you feel suddenly obligated. Pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to or because I feel like I owe something? That one pause collapses the whole setup. Tactic 2: gaslighting. This is the one that does the most damage because it doesn't attack your reputation or your relationships. It attacks your memory. Gaslighting is when someone systematically makes you question your own experience of reality. What happened? What you heard? What you felt? It sounds like that never happened. You're too sensitive. I never said that. You're remembering it wrong. That last one. Think about how many times you've second-guessed a real, clear memory because someone said it confidently enough. And over time you stop trusting yourself. You start going to them to find out what's real. That's the whole point. Because a person who doesn't trust themselves will trust anyone who sounds confident. How to protect yourself: keep a private journal. Write down what happened, when, how it made you feel. When someone tries to rewrite your reality, you'll have receipts. Your truth doesn't need their permission to exist. Tactic 3: love bombing. This one doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like the best thing that's ever happened to you. Love bombing is when someone overwhelms you with attention, affection, and intensity fast. Way too fast. And your brain goes, this is it. This person really sees me. But here's what's actually happening beneath the surface: they're not falling for you. They're investing in you. Building dependency. Because once you're fully attached, that warmth becomes a lever. They withdraw it when you don't comply. They flood it back when you fall in line. You weren't chosen. You were set up. How to protect yourself: real love grows at a pace that respects you. Anyone who's genuinely right for you will not be threatened by the words "let's slow down." If the intensity feels like pressure, it probably is. Tactic 4: guilt tripping. I want to stop here for a second. Because guilt tripping isn't just a tactic, it's a targeting system. It specifically seeks out good people. Empathetic people. People who care deeply and don't want to cause pain. And the sentence that does the most damage is so simple, it sounds almost harmless. After everything I've done for you. That sentence has ended friendships. Kept people in relationships years longer than they should have stayed. made genuinely good people feel like they were the problem when the whole time, they were just being generous with someone who was quietly counting it. Because what that sentence is really saying is your love for me is conditional on your debt to me. That's not love. That's a transaction with emotional interest rates. How to protect yourself. Learn the difference between real hurt and manufactured guilt. Real hurt explains itself when you did that, it affected me because. Manufactured guilt just lands. Heavy. No reason. Just wait. When you suddenly feel guilty and you can't explain why, that's not your conscience talking. That's someone else's remote control. Tactic 5. Triangulation. Triangulation is when someone brings in a third-party real or invented to make you feel outnumbered in your own perspective. Everyone agrees with me on this. My ex never had this problem. Even your friends think you're being too much. And here's the version of this that nobody talks about when you hear everyone thinks you're too much and you start to believe it. Before you've asked a single one of those people, you abandon your own perspective without them even having to push hard. The crowd was never real. But your doubt was. How to protect yourself. Refuse the triangle entirely. Look them in the eye and say, can we just talk about us? Right now? You don't need the crowd. You need the truth. Tactic 6. The silent treatment. Some people never raise their voice. They do something worse. They go completely quiet. And that silence lands like a verdict: you did something unforgivable. You are not worth speaking to. The silent treatment is designed to make you panic. To make you chase. To make you apologize even for things you didn't do, just to restore some peace in the room. And every single time you do that, you teach them it works. How to protect yourself. Don't chase. Say once calmly, I'm here when you're ready to talk. Then give yourself real space. It will feel awful at first. But withdrawing the reward breaks the cycle. You are not responsible for managing someone else's emotional hostage-taking. Tactic 7. The fog: fear, obligation, and guilt. Therapists have a clinical name for the combination of the last 3 tactics. Once you hear this, you will never unsee it in your own life. They call it the FOG. F: fear. Of their reaction. Of losing them. Of what happens if you say no. O: obligation. The running tally of everything they've ever done for you held quietly over your head. G: guilt. That constant low hum telling you that you're failing someone. When all 3 are running at once, you can't think straight. Every decision feels impossible. You start walking on eggshells so carefully that you forget what it felt like to just walk. How to protect yourself. Name the fog. Out loud, to yourself. Right now I'm feeling fear, obligation, and guilt. Are any of these actually mine to carry? Because here's the thing. Someone else's disappointment is not your emergency. The moment you truly believe that the FOG clears. If any of this sounded familiar, if a name or a face came up while I was talking, I need you to hear something. You are not weak for having been manipulated. These tactics work because you are empathetic. Because you care. Because you default to trust and kindness, and that is not a flaw. That is one of the finest things about you. The problem was never your heart. The problem was that nobody ever handed you the map. You don't need to become cold. You don't need to stop trusting people or start seeing threats in every room. You just need to become aware enough to notice when your goodness is being used as a handle. Strong enough to put it down. Protecting your mind isn't about becoming someone different. It's about becoming someone free. Free to love without losing yourself. Free to trust without being naive. Free to walk into that conversation, the one you're already thinking about right now, and actually be present, instead of managed. You always had that in you. You just needed to know what you were up against. Now you do. If something in this video hit differently, hit like. It helps more people find this who need it. And if you want to keep building this kind of awareness, subscribe. We're just getting started. Stay sharp.